Hey everyone, it's Pastor Jared here, and I just wanted to talk to you about this week's spiritual discipline. So, the spiritual discipline that we're practicing this week is self care. And you might be asking yourself, well, what does self care have to do with the spiritual disciplines? Aren't the spiritual disciplines spiritual practices, such as praying, reading the Bible, or meditating? Well, yes, the spiritual disciplines are those practices. But the spiritual disciplines are also practices that open us up to receive God's grace and God's love. You see, our spirit and our body are connected, and God cares for both. Often, it can be easy for us to look down on our body. Maybe we look down on our body because it doesn't function the way that we would like it to. Maybe it has these limitations that we wish that weren't there. Or maybe our body doesn't meet the standard that our culture tells us it should. And therefore we feel shame because of that. Or maybe we mistreat our body because ultimately we feel that our hope is not in our body but in going to heaven. The thing is, though, that God created our body and that God is at work to redeem our body. We see in Genesis chapter 1 that God created humankind, and humankind was very good. That includes humans' bodies. And then we see later on that God takes on a body as God became a human in Jesus Christ. And through Jesus Christ, who was a body, redeemed us. Salvation and redemption comes through redeeming our bodies as well as our spirit and our soul. And so it is important to take care of our body. The Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 19 says, "Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, which you have from God, and that you are not your own?" The temple was a representation of a place where God dwelled. And what Paul is saying here is that God's presence now dwells in us, in our body. And we can then think about this and understand that our bodies matter. That our bodies are ways that God communicates God's love and grace for us. And they are avenues through which we can experience God in our daily life. And so during this time where stress, anxiety, fear, and work might be piling up, I want to invite you to practice self-care, because self-care is important as we are bodily people. To be human is to be a body. It is more than that, but part of being human is to be a body. And so during this time, I want you to find practices that help take care of your body. One of those practices could be spending some time in prayer and asking God to help you think of ways that you are proud of your body or your physical being. And then you can write these ways down and thank God for the ways that God has blessed you as a human and blessed you as a physical being. Another way you can do this is finding practices that nurture health in your body. One of the ways I like to do this is by running. And when I run, I give God thanks for being a body and for being able to do that practice. Maybe it is finding an activity that calms your body. Some people like to take bubble baths. For me, a practice that calms my body is every morning I make coffee. And in doing so, I set my mind on the daily tasks. And my body is engaged both in the way that I am making the coffee, but in all of my senses. I smell the coffee. I feel the coffee as I'm pouring. I taste the coffee. I hear the sound of the water boiling as my water gets ready to make the coffee. And this reminds me that I am a bodily person, and this is a way that I take care of my body by relaxing. Or another way that we can take care of our bodies during this time is by getting enough sleep. Stress and anxiety can often cause us to not rest as much as we need to. Or we might be having so much at work that we aren't finding the appropriate time for rest. But I just want to remind you that our bodies matter and that we need to take time to take care of them because they are a gift from God and they are a way that God meets us in our daily life. And so this week, I want you to find time in your daily schedule to practice self care, to practice ways of taking care of your